Well, Ollie, I want to take you back because you attended Durham University, which we all know is a wonderful establishment, for academia, sport, and of course, Chicas. How messy were your 3 years there? Like, what stands out as the loosest recollection you can sort of heart your memory back to?
Well, I mean, Durham was an eclectic bunch of people, as you sort of alluded to, but it was highlighted, I think, by the fact that there were 2 nightclubs that existed. It's become a little bit more sort of vogue now, but there were 2 nightclubs when I was there, and one was called Rixie's, the other's called Clute. Rixie's was voted as, Clute was voted as the worst nightclub in Europe, and Rixie's was voted as the 2nd worst nightclub in Europe, officially, in some, whatever it was, whatever the, GQ magazine, no doubt. And so in terms of sort of tasteful nights out, it was lacking that, but it was full of spice with boys just in fish bowls. And God, Clute was the only place I know that you queued to get in. Then when you got in, you queued to actually go up onto the dance floor. So you needed to really put out some shapes. Yeah, what a place.
That sounds incredible.
You boys would have gone down well, seriously well. There.
I have to. I really want to get out to Durham and
you're a bit old now.
No. I'm in my prime.
Only as young as the man you feel, as they
exactly. Say. And I've got the experience I've gained over these years in the city in enjoying Infernos would only stand me in good stead.
Infernos is basically a high class Clute.
That's my kind of market. I mean, Infernos is an institution.
It's wonderful.
It's a place.
It is wonderful.
Yeah, I'm guessing you've been there many a times.
I have, I have many a time. Yeah, it's brilliant. I particularly love. I don't know if it's become more upmarket now, but I used to love that your feet would stick to the ground as you would walk through. That was particularly enjoyable.
That's still there, and
what a feature.
They've kept that there. The authenticity of the place is still there. The smell, the stickiness.
Yeah, what a wonderful.
Any dress is any sort of dress sense is allowed. I normally go as Jared Butler from 300, and that goes down pretty well.
Well, normally the Durham Massive was, if they go to Infernos, they go in some form of crew shirt, Jack Wells stracky bottoms, and then a pair of what I call piss catchers, but a pair of brown suede shoes with the trims on the top that just catch the piss. You go to the urinal, or a pair of boat shoes, one or the others.
Jesus Christ. Well, Ollie,
that's my general go-to kit on a night out.
Yeah. Well, apart from the brown shoes.
Yeah. Well, no, brown shoes are allowed, just not wearing a dark suit.
You can't wear a suit with brown shoes.
You look like a cheap recruiter or someone who works for a very bad estate agent.
Okay.
No brown in town.
Black and brown make you frown.
Yeah, exactly. No brown in town. I generally desk there people on the tube. I do.
Well,
you've got the northern line between Clapham South and Clapham North. I see someone brown shoes. I will tell them, listen, mate, I'm the CEO of Clapham. Get out.
Get out of it.
That is disgusting.
Well, Ollie, every university rugby club is built on its sort of catalyst of initiation. So can you recall to us what happened when you were forced to do your initiation to become a member of the Durham Rugby Club?
Yeah. So there was what do we say? She's something called the Tunnel of Love. That might have been spoken of before. So you start you've got to strip down to the to sort of similar attire to the lad that graced Lord's yesterday. And you start at the front of the bus, and basically everyone lined up on either side. The fun doesn't stop until you touch the back window. So until that, and once the ball ring kicks off, there's no holding back. So the Tunnel of Love was a particularly interesting one.
We actually had a girl in who played for the netball team in Clapham who was called the Tunnel of Love as well, but for different reasons.
Was it Merlin, the wizard sleeve, or something like that?
Yeah. Everyone had a visit through the Tunnel of Love. It was a lovely, accommodating.
Well, even you?
No, not me.
Okay.
I'm too upmarket.
Okay.
So there was that one, and then. I mean, I must admit, I never did this one, but the flaming arsehole was another one. We have to measure. It was toilet roll to your wrist. That was the length, and it was put into your back. So you're given a dirty pint, and you couldn't put it out. It was set on fire. You couldn't put it out until you finished the pint. And obviously, no one ever lit it from the bottom. They lit it from halfway up. So
that is phenomenal rugby.
Yeah, that's amazing. You don't even need your manscaper when you're doing that, do you?
No. It was smooth as you like.
Well, that's a great.
That's actually something I might try when I'm when I'm manscaping. I might just do that to myself at home, just with the shower close by.
Just loads of bog roll, just hanging all off you, ready for 3, 2, 1, boom, up you go.
Make it quite exciting start to the morning.
Well, you'd stick a burnt hair all for the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I just, if anyone asks me what that smell is, I say that's just a smell of success.
Could be the next line. You've got the more lash as your beers, and you can have like the eau de
toilette,
eau
asshole.
Well, Ollie, whilst at Durham, you were playing for Harlequins 18, before then moving to train with Newcastle, and then you ended up playing for them and doing a wonderful job, I might say so. But did you somewhat misunderstand what the academy coach was offering you in terms of the trial?
I wonder if this one would come up. Yeah. I mean, basically, give an inch, take a mile, as they say. I mean,
oh god, yeah.
Basically, I mean, I'll keep it as brief as I can, but his nickname was the Moth. This bloke, Paul McKinnon, who was the academy coach for Newcastle at the time, and he'd come down and watched me play for Durham a few times, and I've had a decent run of form, scoring a few meat pies, and at the end of one of the games, he's like, "Oh, we should think about getting you along to training one time." I took that as, mate, you need to come to training, and they used to train at 6 a.m. So one of the lads who was at Durham at the time, who was in the academy, I said, "Look, Moth's invited me to training. I've got to come up to the next one 6 a.m." So I turned up, bright-eyed, bushy tail, ready to rock and roll, and running around with the lads playing walk in touch in the morning. And Moth turned up, and he was like, "Ollie, come and wave me over." I was like, "What? What's up? Hi, Paul. Great to see you." I'm just saying. He's like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "Oh, well, you told me to come to training." He's like, "No, I didn't." I was like, "Oh," like the old, "Oh shit," like looking around, hoping that nobody heard him sort of say that. And I was sort of like, "Well, do you mind if I just sort of stay and whatever?" And then lucky, he said, "Yeah, fucking stay." So I trained that training session, and luckily some lads got injured in training or pulled a hamstring or something. And they didn't have a winger for the weekend. I was a centre at the time, but they didn't have a winger. So they said, "Oh, well, look, yeah, actually, you might as well. Can you play wings? We haven't got anyone for the weekend against London Irish." And I started and I scored a hat trick. So he couldn't drop me after that. So then I played the last 3 games, went hat trick.
Jesus.
And then Rob Andrew was like, "Who's that kid? Who's that kid who's playing who looks like 50?" Because my nickname was Benjamin Button when I was playing. And he invited me into pre-season. And I went away and I scored on debut, and that was it. I just stayed in the first team from that point on.
Well, so, and for any of the kids listening to this podcast, we have a rather eclectic age, listenership.
Yeah.
But the young
invite yourself to training, lads.
Yeah, invite yourself. Don't listen to anyone. Just turn up to any of the big clubs in the Premiership. Just turn up in the morning and take your opportunity with 2 hands.
Get your boots on and ready to go.
Whilst at Newcastle, you were training with legends, the likes of Jason Leonard, aka the Fun Bus. Surely there's a wonderful story about big old Jason. I mean, how loose was he? You and him up in the northeast. Surely he showed you a couple of things.
Well, no, he was down at Quins, the Fun Bus. But in contrast, some of the, if you like, the big lashers up in the northeast would have been
Maisie.
No, the worst was a bloke called Andrew Mower, who you lads may have come across in the city because he's big time with is it Tullet? I think he's at Tullet Pre-Bon now.
All right, Freddie, write that down because I'll connect with him straight after this.
Okay.
Yeah. Andrew Mower, back rower for Scotland. Now, his party trick was he would smoke a cigarette, then as it was burning ember at the end, flick it into his mouth and just put it out in his mouth and spit it away. And then he would drink his wine glass, finish the wine, and then eat the glass. He was absolute schizo, mate. And he still does it now. So honestly, get him on the Rugby's. He'll do it. He's gold.
I don't want to get him on the podcast. I just want to have a night out with him.
That
sounds incredible.
And he's in the city, mate. He's flying the city, absolute carving it, eating glass for fun. God knows what his dumps are like, but who knows?
That is good to know that the city is still with those characters.
Still rife.
I dread today, dread the day of hearing that, someone in the city comes from a state school and is, has got no chat and can't eat glass or eat a cigarette. That would be awful. That the city is dying then.
Well, when you were playing at Newcastle, you played alongside Jonny Wilkinson in that back line for Newcastle. Yeah, what are your earliest memories of playing with him? Like, what was he like as a guy? And was it clear to everyone, even then, that this guy was a once-in-a-lifetime player?
Oh, yeah. I mean, bear in mind, I turned up at Newcastle in 2002, and then he went and won the World Cup in 2003. And he was God everywhere. And in the North, he couldn't, used to go to the cinema with him, and it was embarrassing. He'd be like, "Can you go in first, buy the ticket?" He'd wait out in the car park. Then he'd come in, hoodie up, cap on, run through. I tell him what cinema it was in, and he'd literally bolt straight through because people would just nose him off and he'd miss everything. Probably similar to you lads.
So that I was going to say that's very similar to when we go out and Clapham. I'll say to Freddie, listen, don't talk to me on a night out, but go to the bar and order my drinks. And I go, and I don't want to get recognised, just want to have my drinks.
Freddie, is he one of those? Is he one of the old, just the old bill dodger? Like, mate, you go to the bar.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, massively.
Is that the time? Is that the time? We've got to go.
I said, put it on expenses, Freddie. I'll pay you back. Yeah. Send me the invoice. At the end of
the man who always needs the toilet just as the bill comes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm very good at that. But it's Freddie is what Freddie is having here is an apprenticeship of chat. You know, he's lucky to be around.
Is he grateful for it? He's grateful for the.
Well, yeah.
He's had exposure to people like yourselves, James Haskell, George Cruz. No, George Cruz.
No, not George Cruz. Yeah, not Cruz. Not Cruz.
What was Jonny Wilkinson like on a night out? Because I've obviously heard mixed reports that
useless, utterly useless.
Yeah.
I mean, you're definitely not going to invite him out to do a half a yard or a full yard or anything like that. Absolutely useless. I mean, great for the cheekers for you because you could just sit in the slips. And wait as he wouldn't obviously talk to any of them, but you could be there to sweep up afterwards and sort of be the supportive and entertaining and charismatic friend of his, of course.
Would it be fair to say Jonny Wilkinson is sort of like the front row for the Clapham Falcons? Like, you don't really want to go on a night out with them or talk to them after the game because it is boring. I don't want to hear about scrum. All right, I'm hanging out with the centres, the flankers, the guys who are getting the cheekers.
But they may have a hot sister that you can manipulate later in the night.
Case, then
Johnny didn't have a hot sister. He's got a really good lad of a brother. He's quite a good looking lad, but it's wasn't my cup of tea. But But yeah, I mean,
was he intense, but not James Haskell intense? That's fun intense, but just intense in terms of the librarian at school was intense.
Yeah. I mean, in an amazing, like in a positive way. But I mean, I remember being on the back of the bus with him once, and him talking to me about my inner glow because he was reading about Buddhism or something, and I was like, I could just be like I had a, dodgy Ruby Murray the night before or something like that. But so I mean, conversation is eclectic. It gets deep fast.
Yeah.
But he's obviously an incredible human being.
To be fair, I had a lot of those conversations on my gap year in Canary Wharf. I met a couple of very deep guys like that. Talking.
It's probably akin to some of the chat you have in Infernos at 2-3 in the morning.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Deep, meaningful.
Yeah. All the sort of the voice notes I get from James Haskell quite regularly are quite deep and profound and quite intense.
Yeah.
Normally asking me to do stuff for Traeger Grill. What about Maisie? Maisie was up there, right? Tom May was up there when you were there, or was he?
Yeah, Stuntcock. Yeah, he was there for 8. So Tommy May's a really good mate of mine. So yeah, I mean, absolute hero. Obviously, Tom Bridge boy come up north.
Yeah,
trying to disprove the Southern Softy name tag, and definitely someone that was the old inferiority complex about being vertically challenged. So just an aggressive little mule.
Yeah. Not academically strong, but physically very good on the pitch.
I mean, never tested his general knowledge or gave him a sort of Pythagoras theorem to figure out, but was a freak in the gym.
Yeah, I mean, a chassis.
It was like Pujanowski come in every day to come in. Just an absolute freak on the bench press. But got one of the most horrific tattoos you've ever seen on his leg. This dirty little stamp. Yeah. No. So if he's been cattle prodded.
When I see people, it's very much like the brown shoe situation. I see people in Clapham with a leg tattoo, and I just think you must holiday in Benidorm. You must.
Well, yeah, they probably do.
With brown shoes and a tattoo. I mean, what does that?
What's that that's a horrible mix.
They probably go for a posh night out in Benidorm.
Yeah. Well, Ollie, with your career progressing incredibly nice at Newcastle in 15s, you had an opportunity to make your international debut in sevens, but it wasn't for England. It was for Fiji. Am I right in saying that, or have I got some research wrong? Can you tell us how that unfolded?
Well, I mean, I'd like to say it was because obviously Fiji realised just how much flair I had on a rugby field, but it definitely wasn't that. So when the World Series goes on tour, if when you play in London, for example, New Zealand, Fiji, Samoa, where it's obviously miles away, and if you get someone injured off the day one, you can't fly someone in day two. So they have a thing called the reserve squad, 17th team it is, that basically provides 12 players that can be called upon if they're needed in order to fill in the gaps or whatever. And I was in that Quins Academy at the time, and I'd been put in the 17th team. You know, get to the semi-final of London World Series. Fiji are down to 8, and they need to call on the 17th team. So they call me into the 17th team. And I'm not joking, the shirt they give me is a 3XL, the shorts are 4XL. So it's tight everywhere on me, around the arms and whatever else. But so this thing looks like a windsock all over me. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. Right? I look like a kid that's won a raffle to be there. I mean, I had basically anyway. And they were playing against New Zealand, and New Zealand had Lomu, Cullen, who else was playing? Eric Rush. And equally, Fiji had Serevi, Vunambaka, so it was a wicked team. And there I was, sort of warming up with the Fijians. They're all like flicking it around their heads, under their legs. I was sort of trying to do it and hit my legs and off my elbow onto the floor, like make a total shambles of the whole thing. And game goes out, first half, someone gets injured, so they're down to 7. So I know next stoppage, or someone's injured, I'm on. I mean, I'm never coming on unless someone gets injured, but like I know something bad happens, I'm coming on. Gets 3 minutes before the end of the game. New Zealand get a scrum 10 meters in front of Fiji's post. And in the tackle, one of their players has gone down injured. I'm on. So I stand, and I'm opposite Jonny Lomu because I'm on the wing. And I stand there and I look at him and I'm like, it's obvious. I mean, any situation, even if I'm not there, give the ball to Lomu, 10 meters out, he just runs over you.
Yeah.
I'm standing there. Ball goes straight to Lomu. I'm like, fucking hell, this is it. Career over. And what a legend. He just turns, doesn't need to, shouldn't, but just turns back into the forwards, smashes it up. They beat Fiji anyway. I sort of sit there relieved. At the end of the game, all clapping him off. And Lomu goes into the changing room, gets a ball, signs it for me, and says, good on you, lad. And yeah, I've still got it.
Man, what a story.
I've still got it, fellas. Yeah. So my first international cap is for Fiji because I've got such Fijian flair.
Do you get anything for that? They named an island after you?
No, I'm not. If I was ginger and I'd won an Olympic gold medal for them, I'd probably got a piece of land. I'd have Ben Ryan got. We got a pound note. He got his own note, didn't he? A £7 note.
Well, so, yeah. Ollie, you were England's most successful England Rugby Sevens captain of all time, leading England to 3 World Series victories. Of all of those incredible victories and the wonderful successes throughout the years, which one goes down as the greatest and why? I'm guessing it may be that one in New Zealand.
Yeah, I mean, it's special winning at your home one, right? In front of, I think we were 65,000 or 60,000 at Twickenham.
What a place to go. That is the ultimate lash.
The ultimate lash, yeah. And we did it in extra time in the final against New Zealand. So that was pretty special. But yeah, I mean, going to New Zealand, and England had never been there and got anywhere further than the group stages. So going there, turning them over in their back garden, having gone 19-0 down in the final 17-0 down to win it 19-17. All I remember is just, you could hear like a pin drop. 55,000 people, they were pissed as a new for 2 days. And that one moment when I saw Damu scored under the poles to make it 17-0 and Gollings had the kick, it was like, I just couldn't believe it. It still now makes you go, fuck, that was such a cool experience. So yeah, I would rank that at number 1.
OP, how does it work? Because I'm interested to understand like the sevens scene, because obviously I understand the seven scenes. Like most things, I understand a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but, of course. And you've been prolific on there, no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, I've had to give it up now because, the chassis is sort of wearing, and I've got a 4+1 at the Clapham Falcons. I'm concentrating on the 15s game.
Of course.
But you obviously got into rugby in the 15s, wanted to play 15s. You go into sevens. Does your attitude change? Did you then want to just play sevens, or is it the case that No.
I wanted to go all the way. Yeah. So the way it used to work was you used to just all turn up and train together. So turn up at Penny Hill, and they'd be like, right, Ollie, you're going to Dubai. Tom Vondell, you're going to play England A this weekend, and Haskell, you're going to play against New Zealand or whatever else. So yeah, I mean, it was like that. That's how it used to work. And then as the series got a bit more professional and it got a bit more cutthroat and whatever else, it then just necessitated, it became more of a sort of specialist. But I mean, you used to go away 2 weeks with the series, come back straight into the 15 squad. You'd have like European Cup or Heineken Cup on the weekend. back into the 15 squad, play for a month or 2 months, whatever it was, and then bugger off again. So that it was always 7s, 15s, 7s, 15s for me until right at the end where it was, sort of full time.
Sevens, yeah.
Do you think now that sevens has still got a place in rugby, and do you think it can sort of grow and it I guess like the 2020 format of cricket or the 100 has been successful? Do you think they will try and do something with sevens?
They need to, yeah, man. They need to. It's getting way too boring. I mean, it's got everything that it needs in terms of the speed, the tries, the fun. It's got Commonwealth Games. It's got a World Cup. It's got Olympics. It's got sort of all of the carrots that you need in order to make it great. But anything that starts at 9 a.m. and finishes at 7 p.m. is too boring. I mean, it's just no one's got staying power for that, length of time to watch something. So they need to cut it down, make it really short and sharp, make it explosive, just totally cutthroat, get it 3 hours, and then I don't know. That's my view anyway.
Well, look, we've had Hoppers on the podcast, and now we've had yourself.
Hero,
This could be the form of an organization coming to take over sevens. We can buy it out and create an ultimate sevens tournament, sell it to Channel 4 or even 5. I mean, Flatman's doing 5.
True.
Although I don't think Channel 5, the audience would get it. But anyway.
No.
And Flats is the perfect, obviously, market for sevens. I mean, he's made for it, isn't he?
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's a sevens player through and through. Yeah, of course.
Well,
of course. Dexterity of a bus.
Do you think it will happen? Do you think someone will come and buy it?
Yeah. I mean, I do. I mean, I think private equity will look at this stuff and think there's real scope for this, because if you're going to buy a product, you want to have access to all of the best, commercial rights deals, and sevens has got that, right?
Yeah.
And anything that's got an Olympic carrot at the end of it is going to enable you to crack the US, which is really where you want to be and where all the money is. So yes, I think it can. It's World Rugby is the ones that are driving it at the moment. So it's on them really. But I think it's got the scope to, and I think they recognise that they need to do it. And people saw what happened in these Olympics just going, because you've got the male and the female element of it. That makes it even more appealing from a private equity side too, because you can. Yeah, I mean, I think it has got the legs for definite. Yeah.
Freddie, just write down. Just remind me to email Bill Beaumont in the morning.
Yep. Okay.
And I'll CC Ollie, and I've got his email.
Okay. Yeah, Billy B. He'll be all over it.
Yeah.
Well, Ollie, in 2009, you were crowned the best sevens player in the world. How does one celebrate getting that title? I mean, surely, did you rent out a yacht in Dubai and get loose, or was that another occasion?
Who says all your mum's votes don't count, right? I mean,
True.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, it was actually a bit of an anticlimax, because it was up in Edinburgh, and we'd gone up there and we were hoping to win the World Series with this tournament, and we sort of lashed it up really, so we hadn't played that well. And then cut a very long boring story short, it was at the aftermath of this whole event, and they decided this was the only time they were going to run this format, was after this tournament. Every other year it's like this big awards dinner in November, and with World Rugby and all these sort of aficionados and whatever else. This year they'd sort of decided to do back of a fag packet, chip shop type of effort. So it was a bit of a damp squib from that perspective, but obviously still amazing that all these coaches had voted for me to be best player in the world for that year. But I mean, whilst I had a good year, make no bones about it, it was an awesome squad as well that had got us there. When you've got someone like Tom Van Dal outside you that just give him the ball and he's sort of the proverbial poo off a stick, it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to play well around them.
More importantly, is it on your CV, Ollie? Is that at the bottom of your CV is saying,
IRB World Sevens Player of the Year 2009?
Well, I tried to do what Epitaioni tried to do, and just change my name. So just change my name entirely to World Player of the Year. That's what I wanted to be introduced as, the whole I actually just wanted to be world. That's all I wanted, but
right, okay.
But no one would go for it, unfortunately.
No. So, we could organise that.
We can.
Yeah, maybe we should. You do know that story about Epitone, though. I mean, he got sponsored in the 2007, I think it was, a World Cup. It might be 2011 World Cup, to change his name by Paddy Power to Paddy Power.
I remember that story. Yeah. And they didn't allow it in the end.
Yeah, they wouldn't allow it, which I don't understand how you can't allow it. If someone wants to change the name, they can change the name. But I thought it was epic that he was just going to be like, every time he scored or touched the ball, it'd be Paddy Power. Paddy Power scores. Paddy Power sits.
To be honest,
down.
Ollie, I wouldn't take legal advice from us. We've been sued 4 times in the last year.
Yes, we have.
So I
Yes,
wouldn't. Yeah, I probably wouldn't get involved in that. Actually,
Yeah.
It's not.
No, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
we really don't need any more lawsuits.
No, your father's sick and tired of paying out the legal fees.
Really is.
Good lads. Good
But
lads.
Ollie, 2 years later, 2011, you win Best Overseas Player for Stade Francais in 15s now. What was your time like living in Paris, playing alongside such greats of the game? I mean, the squad you guys had then, and Haskell.
Well, yeah.
What was it like?
Yes. So Haskell and I, are moving to Paris. Obviously, 2 single lads. I rang him and sort of said, "Mate, what are you doing? Where are you living?" And we just sort of sod it. Like, let's just roll the dice. Let's just go for this. All in. No fucking around. So we hired, totally unnecessary. We hired a 4-bedroom house just off the Champs-Elysees. Like, I mean,
place.
epic place. Playing for Stade, wearing pink. It was like, and Stade is this brilliant club that you kind of like get not the keys to the city, but you meet so many awesome people wandering around, playing with obviously the likes of Français, Bergamasco,
Kaiser,
Dupuis. Yeah, Benny Kaiser was there with us. So just like this Galacticos squad, and then a totally different way of life. I mean, professionalism went out the window. I mean, forget. Haskell and I were the most professional players by about 15,000 miles, because they were so village. We used to, I never forget, at Stade, we had the highest wage bill in the whole of Europe, and yet we trained on the same pitch that we would play our games on. Right, so we would every day turn up on the match pitch, totally cut to shit by the match day, and it was a community-owned place. And we used to go. Our gym was the community centre, so we rocked up, and there'd be like the 75-year-old granny on the 1970s treadmill, and Hask would be there, sort of like gurning and spitting in his face, as sort of Hitler's favourite love child, the 6'4" Aryan, just wandering around. It was just surreal, right? This. As a place. And then Checker came in our second year, and sort of Michael Checker, the Aussie coach, and came in and was like, fucking hell, this needs to change. Like, there needs to be some form of professional. You've got like Sergio Parise, Julien Dupuis, and Lionel Boxis all sitting on the steps waiting for the clubhouse to be opened at 10 in the morning, having a fag and a cup of coffee. Like, it's you couldn't buy this shit. You were like, what is this place? But it was an epic experience.
What were those boys like on a night out? I'm guessing
sensational.
Decent.
Sensational.
Yeah.
Boxis and Dupuis would just go. Basically, the way the games worked, where you'd finish on the Saturday, and nothing gets. It's Mediterranean vibes, and nothing gets finished or started until 1 in the morning. So you were out in centre of Paris till 6, 7. Sometimes they just battle the way through. And so then Monday would be a write-off for training. Tuesday, they'd probably start to feel a little bit better. Wednesday, Thursday, okay, we fancy playing again now. Right. Team run, go.
What is the Clapham of Paris? What area would you describe as sort of the Clapham?
Good question, boys. Montmartre.
Yeah, we'll make that's handy for the listeners to know. Yeah, and I'd be.
Yeah, I think we should do a live Rigbiz from Montmartre.
Oh yes, please.
Just
very keen.
Just underneath the Sacre-Cœur would be sensational, fellas.
OP, I am keen for you to do that with me. I would never do that with Andy Powell after our only and first live Rigbiz with Andy Powell. It was a frightening experience.
Yeah, what a hero that boy is.
Yeah. We had a lot of problems.
He is not well. He's not well.
He is wonderful guy.
Well, he is. He's wonderfully well, but just it's eccentric.
Yeah. There is a slight sadness in his eyes that says that he has definitely experienced the world in his very short period of life.
Yeah. Has Hask told you the story about when we got invited out by this sort of like the Moulin Rouge type? Yeah, there's loads of these. I forgot what they were. So you've got basically the Moulin Rouge girls. So we got invited out with all of the girls to the Moulin Rouge to this place called the Bagatelle, which is this nightclub in the woods on the outskirts of Paris. And obviously all the lads were pretty excited about this opportunity. So we're all going out, and they're all, Hask's French was never the best at times. So he was sort of trying to do his best to get in there. But also the French boys looking cool as a cucumber. I mean, Dimitri Zarzeski, I would have had sex with the man on site.
Yeah.
It was just
reminds
phenomenal.
me of myself.
Yeah, very similar. I had the same urges actually when I flipped on the camera. Anyway, we're all in the bagatelle. Everyone's there, and Haskell goes to the go-to, which is basically he's just bigger, stronger, more ripped than anybody. So the shirt comes off in the middle of this place, sort of 1:30 in the morning. The bouncers sort of like, do we tell him to put it back on or not? But he's sort of suggesting to the Moulin Rouge girls, look, let's do a lift, sauté, like throw him in the air. So, and he's probably 3 J2Os down by this point, or hooches down. And so the lead dancer for the Moulin Rouge was this Slovakian girl, and she comes over. She's tiny, 5'4", probably 40 kilos, something like that.
Oh, anyway, perfect to be a PA in the city. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And Hass gets hold of her, and he launches her. I mean, she launched her so hard she comes down with snow on top of her head. And as she comes down, one thing Hask is not renowned for is the old high ball. So as she comes down, the old spoon hands come out like this, and I was like, "Fuck, this is gonna get." And he doesn't even like half catch. He misses her totally, and she thuds like both hands on her knees in the middle, and the whole place stops dead. And you're like, "Shit, Hask's injured the lead dancer of the Moulin Rouge. Like this is a disaster. It was a disaster." And then obviously all his chances are totally blown at this point. All I remember is one of the young French boys, the old Espoirs, swooping in underneath and being like the heroine, picking her up, and just carrying her off.
Showing bastards.
Yeah, as Hask is there holding his t-shirt, raging with the rig out.
Oh my god.
Now that's very much like, I suppose, you in a way. When I'm out, you'll come, you'll pick up the scraps.
Well, yeah.
The debris I leave.
Last 2 times we've been
it's all about success rate. It's all about success rate.
Well, last 2 times
it's all about numbers. It's in the city. The more phone calls you make, the more you'll be successful.
Yeah. I'm not leaving.
That's another good note for the younger listeners to take note. To just keep trying. Never give up.
Ollie, I want to know what it was like working under Checker, because obviously he's a legendary coach. Apparently he's incredibly weird, rubs people up the wrong way. He's a bit angry.
Yes.
What were the craziest things you saw from him? I mean, we've had a lot of stories about Sean Edwards, but I mean, how crazy did he get at times? What was the weirdest sort of interaction you saw from him?
Well, mate, joining and training. I mean, that's the weirdest. Joining and training, dislocating his shoulder in training. Yeah. Just totally trying to rough it up as we're going into the Heineken Cup quarterfinal sort of training on the Wednesday or Thursday, whatever. He wants the live sessions not live enough for him with the forwards, so he decides he's going to be on the opposite side of the defence. So I think Pascal Papi goes up, takes it. He's a big old lump, comes down. Checker tries to get underneath and dig him, and as he goes, you go, fuck! Like, and
oh my god,
it just drops to the floor, and his shoulder's gone. Like, what the hell is going on? And he still mans up.
Well, Ollie, you also played with Basteraud, right?
Yes.
What was he like? Because we had Ben Foden on the podcast, and he said he was a bit of an arrogant bastard. So he didn't always join in on nights out. He was quite hard to get on with when he went to New York. He thought he was a bee's knees. What was he like as a person? Did he get on it when he went out, or did he not come out at all?
Oh, mate. Well, he definitely got on it. I mean, he would go rogue for sort of 3 days. You wouldn't see him. You'd never know where he'd gone.
They call that a Gavin Henson.
Yeah, the old Houdini, just boom, smoke bomb, and then Bastard just comes out the mist, gorillas in the mist. But he was just a nutcase of a bloke on the smash. But not the best. Like, I never forget, we were getting ready for a game. It was quite important. It was like the semis or the quarterfinal of the top 14, and one of the boys gave him a bit of banter or something about, like, does your wife play, or about his girlfriend, basically getting stuck into his missus, and he just
which is great rugby chat.
Well, it's sort of, I mean, whether it's condonable, but it was fairly commonplace on the rugby band, and he wasn't pulling his finger out his arse. He wasn't doing anything. So people were just getting stuck into him. Like, come on, Basta, we're about to play a semi-final here of the top 14 or whatever it was, a European Cup. Get your arse into gear. And he just spat his dummy out, took his bib off, and just fucked off back to change room, refused to come back out again. And then everyone's sort of like pandering to him. Oh, Basta, blah blah blah. Because when Hask and I turned up, Basteraud had just come back from that New Zealand episode where he, said he'd been beaten up, but he hadn't been beaten up. So all the Frenchies were a bit sensitive to him, and we weren't really that au fait with sort of French culture or French way of life when we turned up. So Hask came in and sort of went up to us like, "Oh, Basta," like pretended to like jab him and then fall down like, "Oh," and that went down like a shit sandwich.
Well,
he didn't enjoy that one, but there we go.
Ollie, we also had your old teammate, as we spoke about earlier, Ben Case on the podcast, who gave us an insight into the crazy genius mind of Max Guazzini or Guazzini. What are your memories of meeting the chairman? And apparently, I don't know if this is true, it's what Ben said, he was just odd. He insisted on being there for the naked photo shoots. He was just a bit weird. Like, what were your weirdest memories of meeting him?
Yeah, I mean, he was an eccentric individual, but incredible. A
genius.
Same time, total genius. And he brought the pink pound into rugby, right? He recognised this niche in the sport of I can really leverage this and go all out. So he introduced the Jour de Stade calendar and everything else, which is still the best-selling calendar in the whole of France. And it's all about the Jour de Stade means the gods of Stade. That's what it stands for.
Yeah. We have a similar calendar called the Jeux of Clapon.
Jour de Claps. Yeah. He was amazing, mate. But he did have some. So his background, I don't know if boys told you, but he used to own a radio station called NRG, which is the largest radio station in Europe, which he sold. So he was worth, he sold for a lot of cash and then decided to move into rugby. And he just, because of the background in music, I never forget our first ever game at Stade Francais was against Perpignan. Played the game. It was a nuts experience running out and whatever else. But at the end of it, all the boys got quite excited because he brought in like a special guest. And I was like, who's the special guest? And all the boys, Max was sort of renowned for being sort of fairly well endowed. So when he used to come in, the boys used to go, like, because the snake was coming in, right? So I didn't know any of this at the beginning. I was like, what the hell's, and anyway, it turned out that he brought Madonna into the changing room.
No.
So we're all standing in the changing room, and all the French boys, a couple of them can, but not many of them can speak that good English. So they'll latch on to something straight away. And so they were like a virgin. So we'll just go around like a virgin, woo, all getting excited. And as you mentioned, Casey said like he just loved a bit of a cockwatch. So he all the boys would go into the shower, and Max would sort of come round, but convenient with Madonna being his sort of his stooge and reason as to why. And it was in the Stade de France, was one of those big baths, not ice bath, but just communal bath. I don't really see them anymore.
I've got one in my family home. Yeah.
Exactly. I think it was actually modelled on the same one, actually. Yeah. Well, those big
the same
sort of
bath
golden
my mum left my dad for.
The golden eagles in the corner of it. Yeah. And anyway, all the boys jumped in, and they were then doing the Max. So obviously Max didn't need a second invite. So he hoyed in, and then unbeknownst to me, in a shower, she got into a bra pants and she jumped in too. So I was like, my first game at Perpignan or Stade de France or whatever. Stade Francais, I was like, I've come from Newcastle at Kingston Park, where we're lucky if we get 5 people turn up. 2, I'm sitting in a bath with Madonna, having played Perpignan in front of 80,000 people. I was like, this is nuts.
OP, is incredible. Do you think is that your favorite part of your career? Because when you talk about it, it sounds like unbelievable, because it sounds like not every day was the same, and it was pretty maverick.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like for every single reason, right? I mean, for the fun and the banter, 100%. Culturally, like unbelievable. Living in Paris is the most amazing city. Learning a language, I forced myself to. I'm fluent in French now from my time. I couldn't speak at all. So
also
all of that
on the CV.
Also on CV, yeah. World player of the year, and I then translate it into French too.
Yeah.
For either way.
What's PwC in French?
PwC.
Yeah, PwC.
WC, yeah.
Oui.
Yeah.
Sorry, shouldn't know.
And then my friend, obviously nickname in French is just meilleur du monde. So that's it. The best in the world. I just lose the rugby. Just say meilleur du monde. That's it.
The greatest ever.
Is that why? Do you think is that why you played your best? Did you play your best rugby there?
Yeah. It's just everything about
because
it,
the culture fitted you as like a person, and like it wasn't too serious, but when it was down to business, you got it done, and you knew there was rewards at the end in terms of just a good night out.
Yeah, all of that. I mean, I'll be honest. I love like the banter and I'm a terrible lasher. So I mean, but I enjoy it, but I'm just pathetic on it. So but the French way was class because they love they love a rosé. So I'm all over rosé. Just a bit.
I love a good whispering angel.
Yeah, whispering. They'll drink a lot of Aix or en Provence or something like that. But so all of the cultural side of it was amazing. Then playing for at that point the biggest club, or if not one of the biggest clubs in Europe, and I'd just come back from playing with the Sevens, playing with England, getting World Player of the Year, and I was really keen not to be pigeonholed as a Sevens boy. I wanted to cut my cloth in the 15s environment. So this was a golden opportunity to go over there. But I'll be honest, lads, the world is small and networking, how you all talk, but so my time at Newcastle was coming to an end, whatever. The bloke, Steve Bates, who was our head coach, he didn't reckon me, didn't fancy me. So I'd pretty much gone away with England the whole year on the Sevens circuit. And I knew my contract wasn't really going to get renewed. And there was the Aussie head coach before Checker, a guy called Ewan McKenzie, was head coach for Stade at the time. And this is a convoluted story, but Bath had played Stade in the Heineken Cup. And at the end of the game, I wasn't part of Stade or that. At the end of the game, there was a friend of mine who used to make all the suits for us at Newcastle called Fiona Lewis, not nothing related to Leona Lewis. And she just randomly went over to like the team manager of Stade and said, "Not looking for any players or anything like this next year." He was like, "Oh, maybe, don't know." And he was French, he couldn't really talk, so he just fobbed her off to Ewan McKenzie, who spoke English. And she was like, "Oh, my friend Ollie up in Newcastle, he's looking for a gig near next year, winger. Why don't you have a look at him?" And he said, "Oh yeah, all right, send me a video." She sent, and I just happened to, it was coincided with, we played the tournament in New Zealand that you mentioned, where we beat New Zealand first time, blah, blah, blah. And I played pretty well. So they sent the video of that. Then I got voted, I got top 2 player of the tournaments after that, and was being in line for World Player of the Year, nominated as World Player of the Year. So I never forget, Ewan McKenzie rang me just before we were going to fly to New Zealand. He went, and I thought it was a piss take. He was like, "Ollie, hi mate, it's Ewan McKenzie here." And I was like, "Of course it is, mate." Piss off, and hung up. Because Jeff Parling, our second row, who went to Exeter and whatever, had been doing loads of spoofs to lads, pretending he was John Wells, telling them they were in the England squad.
Yeah.
So I was like, "I'm not falling for this, Jeff. No chance. You're not Ewan McKenzie. There's no way I'm at Stade." I went off to New Zealand, got player of the tournament. We won. McKenzie rang me again and said, "Look, this is Ewan McKenzie. I'm serious. We're really interested in signing you for next year. I've been passed some of your videos by Fiona. Max would like to see you. Could you fly to Paris when you land back from New Zealand?" And I had like a 2-day window. So I flew to Paris, met Max in a restaurant. He must have wondered. Now reflecting back, my French was pathetic, but I was desperately trying to talk to him in French. And at the end of it, he said, "Done."
That
signed.
is
I hope she was on
Signed.
commission.
Signed. And that's a gospel story to the T. That is exactly how it played out.
Well,
no agents, nothing.
I believe you're OP because you're a man after my own heart. And funny enough, when I'm around in the city, I have on my phone my highlights, and I will, after a meeting, I'll send my highlight reel to my clients via WhatsApp, just so they know, I am the real magician. And that normally seals the deal. And that's not just highlights on the pitch. That will also be just little snippets from great meetings, because I record all my meetings.
Right. Okay.
Just the highlights of my best small chat.
Motivational talks. Everything.
Weather's extraordinary at the moment. We haven't had a good summer, and then that will be on the highlight reel. They'll just love it.
I think they will. I think we need little snippets like that.
Ollie, obviously you're playing the best rugby of your career at Stade, but let's talk about when you were playing some of your worst, and that was at Newcastle early on at Kingsholm, when you experienced one of the most legendarily embarrassing moments in Prem history, a moment even your best man decided to reuse to shame you once more at your wedding. Can you take us through what happened on that fateful day at Kingsholm?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to, fellas. Absolutely love to. So, you know, when you're a young whippersnapper just coming through, you're desperate for any opportunity that you get. And mine came against Worcester, Friday Night Lights up at Kingston Park, and you know, you want to sort of seize every opportunity. My competition at the time was actually Tommy May, the mule on the wing, and John Rudd, who was sort of, you know, this 18-stone mutant that just was super quick as well. So anyway, I got my shot, and as always, Friday night in wherever it was, November, up in Newcastle. Weather is obviously delightful, and they stick the high ball up. I catch the high ball in our 22. We're, I don't know, 20 minutes into the game. It's pissing down with rain. Catch it. I'm like, Mark. Everyone's cool, calm. I turn to Wilco, thinking, look, I'm going to tap, throw it back to you, and you'll drill it 50 yards or whatever into touch. And he's like, you got it, you got it, you got it. So I'm like, okay, right, I'm kicking. Okay, no problem. And I don't know why. I've never done it pre, I've never done it post, but I decided that I would put that hand glue, now the spray glue that the mutes put on their hand before they run out, the forwards put on their hand. So I'd sprayed it all over my hands because it was wet, and I thought, I don't want to make any mistakes, drop the ball, blah, blah, blah. So I get the ball, I'm teed up, perfect position, ball's out right in front, absolutely about to glide through this ball and drill it 50 yards. And as the drop comes, I just feel it, and the ball holds in my hand. Not long, but like half a second, it just sticks. And as a result, I full airball it, totally, leg swings through, and I grazed the side of it, and it goes 4 yards this ball, and it trickles along the floor straight into Craig Gillies, the second row for Worcester's hand. And he's like, I can see in his face, he's like, what you know, what the fuck, wow, what's going on here? All I hear is Wilco behind me go like, oh shit, screams like, and I just dived at his knees, at Gillies' knees, and like just hang my head in shame. Hopefully everyone's forgotten about it. Luckily we win the game from that point, and I think it's all forgotten. And then the Sky Sports have got, they don't have anymore, but they had this thing called the Rugby Club, where Stuart Barnes and Will Green,
Payne, Simon Lazenby.
Yeah, Payno,
that's where Payno came.
It was actually Lazenby hosting at that point. And Will Greenwood, being an ex-Durham boy, I thought he'd save my ass, but he doesn't. So they go through the whole show, highlight everything. They go, look, you know, we've shown you all the highlights from today's game, but we can't let this thing go. So they go back, and the show closes with Greenwood sort of saying, look, an ex-Durham boy, I hate to hang him out to dry, but the Phillips howler, and the Phillips howler pops across the top of the screen, and they show this thing in slow motion, and my phone just lit up with just people pissing themselves, and like the Phillips howler wetting, and it stayed with me forever, and even then got replayed at my wedding.
Can you find it on YouTube?
Yes.
Okay. We'll
link it on our Instagram.
When you come on, we'll
I'll
put it on the podcast. We'll put it on the rig bits.
I'll send it to you, fellas, as part of the highlights reel.
Yeah, as part of the PR for this podcast.
Yeah. Ollie, obviously, one of your biggest regrets must be the fact that you got injured in 2014, an injury which at first didn't seem that serious, but turned out to be, meant that you couldn't go to the Olympics for the inaugural Sevens. You missed out on a silver medal at the very least. Maybe we would have got a gold if you were playing. Nice. Well, no, because I want to lead on to the fact that you didn't let that stop you, because then a man who's never sailed a boat before, apart from maybe down there, sort of the river during the Henley Regatta, you sail around the world in a clipper round the world yacht race. You come second, having had no experience. And I just want to go back to the fact that you were talking about how you got the gig at Stade Francais through BD, because despite going on to set 2 further Guinness World Records, trekking the North Pole upon your return, you were obviously very good at BD, and I knew this would come around again, because on that boat, when you were sailing around the world, you somehow got offered a job to go work at PwC, a client-facing role, of course, you know, specializing in BD.
The best kind of role.
But you didn't like the initial experience. You felt somewhat lost and anxious because you didn't feel that maybe you were being taken seriously enough, or you didn't understand the sort of, you know, the little minutiae details. So take us through that period of your life and how it actually led you to sort of turning it around and now becoming the big old boss of PwC nowadays.
Well, I mean, obviously, your network is your net worth, as they say, right, fellas?
Exactly.
Exactly, wouldn't they? Yeah. So it was a pretty sour experience. The end of my career, I had like a 3-year contract on the table. Got injured at this World Cup training camp. Didn't think it was really anything. Walked off. Well, I didn't walk off the field. Carried off the field, and they said, "Look, it's actually all over, Red Rover." And I was like, "What? Everything?" And within 3 hours, everything had gone. Contract gone, captaincy gone, career gone. I was 29. I was like, okay, as days go, this is pretty dump. But I got a call from, the network, this bloke who founded the Clip Around the World race, a guy called Sir Robin Knox-Johnson.
What a name.
Yeah.
What a
legend.
name. If there's a guy doing a Clipper race, that is what he's going to be called.
Exactly. And mate, you'll love him even more then, because he was the first person to ever single-handedly sail around the world. It took him 9 months to do this thing on his own. Wow. Back in the 60s, he did it. Anyway, he founded this race that allowed anyone who's aged 18 or over to go and sail around the world. And he rang me. I think he originally to take the piss because we just got stuffed by New Zealand 33-3 in the final of the World Cup. And he's obviously a humble Irishman that doesn't obviously like to see an Englishman ever suffer any consequence, right? So, but he realised I was having a pretty crap day. And he said, look, actually, there might be an opportunity here. We've just signed a deal with Downing Street as part of their Olympic legacy program, this thing called the Great Campaign. And it was everything like business is great, sport is great, adventure's great.
Lash is great.
Championing everything that's great about Britain to get foreign direct investment to the UK. We need like an ambassador, to be part of the Great Britain boat. Would you be up for it? So I was like, I've never sailed before in my life. I can't even walk. He's like, don't worry, you'll be fine. It'll be so rough, you won't even be able to walk anyway. You'll be crawling around your knees. And, why not? Got nothing else to do. So it's like, well, as marketing goes, it's pretty crap, but go for it. So I signed up. I left 5 weeks later, signed all the contracts at Downing Street, which I was sort of a bit surreal. And then went and sailed around the world for 11 months, 46,000 miles, awesome experience. You said we came second, all the rest of it. And on my boat, people can say you can either go all the way around the world or you can do individual legs. And there was this one senior partner from PwC that did one leg. And he said, when he got off the boat, he turned around and said, look, I've never met anyone that leads a team the way you lead a team. You have to come work for us. And I was still sort of thinking, like, I'm going to go back and play. My leg's going to be fine. I had these sort of delusions of grandeur. The PR was still rife in me. I was thinking, right, I'll take a year out. I'll sail around the world. My first port where I sailed on the Clipper race was Rio. My last port in my rugby career will be Rio at the Olympics. Like, here we go. Like, it's made for it. Anyway, came back, went to Dubai with England A. My leg was having none of it. And that was it, game over. And call it serendipity. But he rang me again and said, look, it's been 12 months. I've been chiseling away. We've got a role. We want you to be a director in the business, and we want you to come and lead part of our digital transformation team. And I was like, yeah, sounds awesome. Great. Like, let's do it. Done. And I'd agreed to go to the North Pole as another one of these adventure things I did. So I buggered off to the North Pole with this children's charity. And I came back. We'd set this world record at the North Pole, came back. I never forget, it was May the 5th. And I've walked through my house and it was 5 o'clock. I was in Clapham, Altenburg Gardens.
Ugh. Honestly, OP, I'm speechless. I feel like I've met my long lost brother here. This is phenomenal. C.H.A.T. chat.
Clapham Common North Side is where I was. 108 Clapham Common North Side.
Great road. Great road. And I moved to 52 Altenburg Gardens. And then I remember opening all my post, and in my post was a letter that said, can't wait to see you, blah, 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 8 a.m., 6th of May, the next day. So I was like, shit. So I rang this bloke, Michael, and said, look, Michael, this is amazing, super excited, can't wait to come to PwC. Just a small, tiny bit of detail. I don't know anything about tax, which is where I'm going to sit. I don't know anything about digital, and I don't know anything about PwC. He went, don't worry, you'll be fine. I've been there 6.5 years. That is extraordinary.
Well,
and I'm waiting for the call, OP. Mate. Just as your number two.
We'll just meet at the Ned and we'll talk about it. Yeah,
unbelievable.
We'll talk biz.
I honestly think we should do a BD session next summer to Saint-Tropez.
Why not? Yeah. Why not?
Get Parise down.
Ollie, though, I don't want to shame you, but as a man who's making so much coin at PwC, Why
living in Henley,
smashing everything.
smashing deals.
Used to live in Gladden. Why didn't you buy your wife a proper engagement ring? What was the story behind that?
Well, I mean, I did, but just so I'm a hopeless romantic. So you'll love this. I mean, you boys love a story. So
God, yeah.
This goes back to Paris. So, and actually, our good friend Pano loves this story. It's just maybe where this has come from, because he loves this story. So one of the Stade boys, the back row, Pierre Rabadan, ridiculously good-looking human being, was going out with a Bond girl at the time. She was the Bond girl from Casino Royale that rode the horse up the beach and then was found dead in the hammock.
Yeah.
I've got one of your exes, probably. Yeah,
I know the scene. It's one of the, I love watching that film just before I go to bed.
Well, it's that Living with the Lions.
Actually, me too. So So anyway, she was sponsored by Dolce and Gabanna, and they were having this big French fashion party in the center of Paris on the Place La Concorde in December. And Pierre was like, "Look, we got a spare place. Do you want to come?" I was like, "Yes, 100%. I want to come to that." So rock up to this dinner, middle of December, freezing cold. Walk into this fashion party and sit next to Pierre and around this table and Bongo, and around this table are like all these who's who of fashion. I don't know anything about fashion, nothing, right? I do a bit now, but not there. So on my table was this guy called Louis-Marie Castelbeljac, who was this iconic French designer, who was going out with a lady called Dita Von Teese at the time, who was a burlesque dancer. Yeah. So she was sat next to me. There was this bloke called Christian Louboutin, who made all these sort of red-soled shoes.
Yeah, Louboutin, very good. Yeah.
Louboutin. He was on the table. Dolce and Gabbana was sat over there. Kate Moss and Naomi Campbell's agent sat with us over here. And then this other bloke who was sat there with like dark glasses and like a glove on his hand. And I didn't know who this bloke was, but it was 9 o'clock at night in the middle of December. And it was a bloke called Karl Lagerfeld, who's now obviously died, right? And I was like, "Carl, like, what's the deal, mate? Why have you got the glasses? Like, is your guide dog at the door, or is your white stick or something that wander around, everything like that?" He's like, "Oh, Ollie, it's my dad. I was like, "What the fuck?" Anyway, I'm sat around this table, awesome fun. I don't know anything about fashion, but they're all campus row tents, but great fun, like good banter, and they love the sort of rugby lad, and like I'm maybe a bit of a breath of fresh air for them. And there was this opportunity to buy a raffle ticket. So like, if you want to buy a raffle ticket, I was still sort of harboring for my Newcastle days. So they were like, "Yeah, it's €100. I was like, "Fucking €100 for a raffle ticket? What are you talking about?" They're like, "Don't worry, you're guaranteed to win." So I was like, "Well, it's not a raffle ticket, is it? I'm just paying €100, something." So anyway, I win this box. And in this box is a pair of shoes, right? Women's shoes from Louboutin. Right. Wow. No, I didn't know. This personal letter with this clutch bag. Beautiful they were, to be fair. Gold. Absolutely amazing. Size 6 for a woman. And I lifted up this thing, and my reaction was like, "What the hell do I want these things for?" So obviously I latch onto the opportunity. So I'm sort of put them on, and I'm running around the table like, "Stop chasing me, Carl. Stop chasing me. Stop chasing me." All this sort of stuff. And I get home, and I've got these shoes in the box. I go to Haskell. He's like, "How's the dinner?" I was like, "Mate, you'd have loved it. Like, totty everywhere, blah, blah, blah. But I've won this stupid pair of shoes. Don't know what I'm going to do." And I tossed them in the bin. And he's like, "Whoa, let me have a look, like Louboutin or something like that. Labus or Lubus or something like that." He's like, "Mate, look, hold on, let me show you these." And he showed me these shoes, and they were $3,000, these shoes. So I was like, "Oh, I'm going to sell them. I'm going to sell them." I'm going to sell them. Like, still on my Newcastle days. And then, as I said, I'm a hopeless romantic. So I took them out and I didn't sell them. And I said, "You know what? I'm actually going to keep these. And these shoes, whoever the chica is that I'm going to marry, these shoes will fit. These shoes will fit, right?" So she's going to have big old feet, this bird. But either way, they must fit. So this was in 2009. Fast forward till December 2019, 10 years later. I'm with my girlfriend at the time, and I've decided I'm going to propose to her Christmas Day I'm going to propose to her. So Christmas Eve, I'm going to propose to her with all her family, all my family. We've hired like an Airbnb big house. So we're all together, all around the table, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to propose to her. So I'd written a poem. And I wrapped these shoes up, ready to rock and roll. And no one had ever seen these shoes ever since that moment. They'd occasionally seen a bag, and they'd heard like my wife now, but my girlfriend at the time, she'd never heard of this. She'd heard a bit of the story, but she didn't know anything about it. She just knew I'd got these pair of shoes, and one day these shoes would come out for the girl I want to marry. So 10 years on, Christmas Eve, I've written this poem, and I go to read it, and it's probably 2 minutes long, maybe a minute and a half long, and I just literally go to, I call her the sod, so I go to my sod, and I just burst into tears, right? Wet, total wet sponge. It takes about 8.5 minutes, this poem, by the end of it all. So it was so bad that her nephew comes up, and he's so bored of me at the end, he just lets a popper off in my face, like a firecracker in my face. Anyway, and I drop to one knee at the end of the poem, and I pull the box out from behind, and I put it in front of her. And I suddenly, mate, as you just said there, like the fear gripped me, because I was like, if these don't fit, I hadn't checked them, so I was like, if these don't fit, oh my god, like I've just told this whole story in a poem and how the importance of these shoes, and if these shoes don't fit, this is going to be the most awkward, everyone's there, her family, my family, and these shoes, like a glove made for her feet, as if it was made for her. Wow. And then on our wedding day, she walked down the aisle with our daughter in her hand, wearing the shoes.
Mate,
what a story!
We can't beat it.
That is chat out of chat.
Yeah, there you go, boys.
That is. I need to go
story.
And get some expensive shoes.
You do.
I need to take a round to Infernos, trying on, just going to different women's feet.
Yeah.
Take a pair of Havaiana flip flops, and you'll be game on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they are my favorite kind of wheels.
Well,
and Ollie, I wrote to Freddie. I wrote to Louboutin because he made me a pair of shoes which are horrific. After I met him, a pair of these, like, they were alligator or snakes, like, I don't know, but they were horrific. I mean, horrific. But he just loves the rugby boys. So I wrote him sort of saying, Christian, just so you know, and I recounted this story to him and told him like what I'd done and whatever else, and he sent me a video of him back, just sort of crying, saying, "Oh, Liz,
your contact,
your network is nearly as good as mine.
Yeah,
that is insane.
Are you guys connected on LinkedIn? Because you could get.
We will be.
We will be.
There's no business being done yet, but there will be, and it's frightening how much the economy is going to bounce back. Rishi Sunak, if you're listening to this, you're welcome.
Hockey curve. Woo!
Yeah.
Ollie, it's now time to play a little game we like to call Chat or No Chat, where we read out 10 of your former teammates, and you simply tell us if they have chat or no chat. So if you're ready to go, we will start off with Mr. Jonny Wilkinson.
No chat.
James Haskell.
Chat.
Mike Tyndall.
I mean, I'll go chat. Depends if he's pissed or not.
Basteraud.
None.
Kaiser.
Lots. Chat.
Jim Hamilton.
Oh, Uber chat.
Dmitry Sadzetsky.
No chat, but it doesn't need it. It doesn't need chat.
Carl Heyman.
Monumental chat. Epic human being.
Matt Burke.
The king. The royal king. Beats
king
anyone.
Chat.
The king of chat. Like, he is the foundation for me. Taught me so many things. He is the best player, best professional, best bloke I've ever met. He without ruining your game, I remember he's the only player I've ever played with. He's like a clairvoyant. He was in the back three with us. He was our fullback when I was playing at Newcastle. Yeah. And he would say to me as a 21-year-old, Ollie, like aggressive little Aussie that it was, but Ollie, get back, stand here. And I'm like, why? What's the matter? And he's like, look, they're going to go left, come right, 2 runners right, and then they're going to kick to you. And it was like, they went left, 2 runners right, and then they kicked down to me. And I was like, what? And I give them, and I'm like, Black Berkey, what are they going to do next? He would know 4 or 5 phases in front of everything. Or anyone.
That's like me at the Ned.
Yeah. He was like, you are going to come home with me. He knew it. 5 hours.
So I say, Freddie, stay here because the CEO of HSBC is going to come in. I need you to hold him while I go and chat to the CEO of Barber.
And Ollie, to finish off, Simpson Daniel.
Epic. Great bloke. Great chat.
Mate, that's the highest score we've ever had.
Team sheet.
9 out of 10 chat.
Yeah,
we never got over 4. Now, Ollie, you've been absolutely incredible. We're going to have to get you back on because we want to delve deeper into the sailing trips. We want to delve deeper into the Olympics.
Love to, fellas.
The world record. Incredible feats you did. But to finish off, you have had the most incredible careers. You're still going strong at PwC, making a lot of coin. We know that. But when you look back on your life and career so far in and out the game, what would be the one period or the one moment you would like to relive over and over again? And then also, which moment would you like to go back and change?
Oh, boys. Mate, I just do uni over and over and over again.
Great answer, yeah.
Does it?
That's what, but you lived in Clapham, it's pretty much uni here.
Yeah,
24/7.
Just, I don't know, just when you're at uni, you just don't care. It's just wicked. You just live with your mates all day long. So definitely I do uni all over again. And if I could change, well, this is obviously a somber note, but we were ranked #1 side in the world going into the World Cup in 2009 in Dubai. We watched all 3 teams crash out that really could have won it. New Zealand, Fiji, South Africa, all burned in the quarterfinals. We were playing Samoa. We knew if we beat them, we'd have like Wales, Argentina. We would cruise to the final. And we lost in extra time because we basically were distracted. So if I would change one thing, it'd be that game.
Ollie Phillips, you have been chat out of chat.
That is unreal.
You've been absolutely incredible.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.